Greetings, my movie geeks. Welcome to another episode of MAaD Movie Podcast. I'm Nate, the Ultimate Movie Geek, and you may find this a little bit different to usual because I am currently lounging around in the garden while the wife's out getting her nails done and the kids are all in bed. It's currently 8 o'clock at night on Monday evening after we've just had a long day at work. And I just thought I'd do this introduction because we've recorded a podcast a few days ago with the creators of the World Geekly News website, which I contribute to. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because I wanted to sort of try and get some more traffic for the site. I wanted to find out what the idea behind World Geekly News was, and just to get to know the other people who write for the site, basically. But I just also thought that I'd like to do something different with the podcast and have maybe a different sort of introduction, just like this. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm not too sure how it's going to go down. I don't know if we're going to get a normal one up later on this week, probably. It is Lion King this week, and there is other news. The most recent news is regarding Bond 25. Lashana Lynch is said to be playing the new 007. Now, if you look at some of the websites or Facebook pages that are trying to get clicks and, well, get people angry, they'll have put in their title that say hello to the new James Bond 007, which is inaccurate because if you actually read the article, it goes on to say that in M's office, 007 is let into the office, and it's along those lines. It's Lynch, and it actually does make a lot of sense if you go by what happened at the end of Spectre. He was disavowed or he quit at the end of that, James Bond, and it said that he retires to Jamaica at the beginning of this film. So the code name 007 will be reassigned to somebody else. So there's a lot of people getting their knickers in a twist because they're not actually reading the articles, and it's quite funny to watch actually, because these people think they know what they're talking about, but they're actually digging their own graves. So yeah. Oh, if you can hear that, that's my baby monitor going off for the baby. He's upstairs, so I can hear him. But yeah, so this podcast is me kind of interviewing the creators of World Geekly News, Paul Childs and KJ Kyle McDougall. So without further ado, here it is, and I will see you at the end of the podcast for an outro, possibly. We'll see. As I said, it's new. I don't know what I'm doing, as always. Well, this is cool. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Obviously, with me and Paul have done this. Well, Halloween, wasn't it? It was October.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, a while ago. I'm not the best talker. I'm quite nervous, and I don't know why. I'm just sat in my bedroom, and yeah. So here we are. So basically, I noticed that you guys were talking about starting a podcast for WGN, and I thought, well, let's let's push it forward and get talking about that. And I just wanted to get the basic history or where the ideas for WGN came from, and what you wanted to do with it, where you want to go with that. So I just thought, well, let's do sort of a Q&A with some questions that I wrote down earlier today.
Sounds good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. How are you both?
I'm fantastic. I have avoided doing any work all day other than telling my 4-year-old son that I am not going to go get him a pizza for snack. That's the biggest thing I've had to do today.
Why is he not allowed a snack? And why is he not allowed a pizza?
No, well, he wants me to take him to a restaurant to get a pizza, not like, a frozen. He wants to go out. I'm not doing that today. That's all.
I went out tonight. I had a nice meal, ribs. It was lovely. Paul, how are you?
I'm pretty good, and the talk about pizzas driving me nuts because we live about a 3-minute walk from what is apparently the best pizza restaurant in Great Britain.
Is it?
And we went. Yeah, it was voted in like loads of papers, and it always comes top. And we went there, and it is nice. So just knowing it's like about 200 meters from my flat is like really really upsetting. But otherwise, I'm good. Thank you.
Good. We did that walk not so long ago. We were having a chat about it before. I'm still struggling with my right foot. You seem to have got over it perfectly.
Generally. Well, you say perfectly. Sometimes I have days when I'm out walking and my body's going, this is great, you could go forever. And other days I go out for a walk and I've been going, 30 seconds, and my leg's just going, do we have to? Really?
Yeah. I can understand that. Yeah, I just I don't know. I think I've either got a broken toe or something. I'm not too sure. Anyway, right, so I'll get into it. Where are you based? I know where you are, but for the listeners, where are you both based? Because this is what I like about WGN it's quite worldwide, isn't it? Really, I know it's only small at the moment, but it's international.
I'm in in America. I'm in the Midwest, Missouri. So that's like the kind of the asshole of the United States. In more ways than one.
Well, yeah, that's cool. I'm in the asshole of the United Kingdom, and Paul can attest to that. He stayed here.
Well, I just have to point out that when I came up there and we stayed in the hotel, the first thing you see when you come out in the morning is a massive aeroplane factory.
Submarine.
Oh, it's submarines, is it?
Oh yeah, that's submarine. That's what this town was built on. Shipbuilding.
And makes sense. That. It's by the sea.
That's kind of cool.
Well, no. Yeah, I'd give me left arm to get out of here. No, but that's what I really like about WGN. You get all these writers who are from around the world, and it's interesting to see the different takes on geekdom, shall I say, from different perspectives. And I love going through and reading these articles, and I think I'm on it pretty much every day because there's always an article that I haven't read.
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool because I think we've got someone, we've got Scotland, we've got America, we've got I think Germany.
I think Robert's Denmark, isn't he? He's somewhere in Europe.
Spain,
he might be. He might be German living in Denmark. I don't know.
I think so. That sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Is Robert German?
Yeah. I
didn't know that. I didn't realize. I didn't get that at all.
Unless he isn't, and we don't know our own team at all.
Maybe. Well, just bear in mind that we can see you, Paul, but you can't see us.
No, it's freaking. It's freaking me out a little bit. I'll be honest.
Yeah. All right. So you two, you two, the brains behind World Geekly News. How did you meet? Where did you meet? I think I know the answer because I think that's how I met you two. So.
Yeah. We we set up a group in Facebook. It was Cal, actually, who's written some music articles for World Geekly News. He set up a group in Facebook about, I think it's 3 years ago this summer, just as a safe place where some of us who were like-minded in the discussions on the internet, we thought it would be nice to have a Facebook group that was locked and secret where we could talk about stuff without trolls invading.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you two guys were two of the people we invited in.
Yeah, I remember when I got an invite, I was like, "Oh, this is exciting!"
I know.
And to be honest, since I've been part of that group, I haven't been to the as they call it, the mother site since. I've been a couple of times, but I've not been on as much as I used to.
No, me either. Especially after the editor left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah, I don't think I've been on the site since then. But wow, it's really been 3 years. That's because, yeah, well, I guess we all talked for a couple of years before that, honestly. Just on movie sites and stuff. And I honestly thought Cal was joking when he sent me the invite, like when he was like, yeah, we've got this thing. I was like, oh, that's really funny. And then actually got the invite, like, oh wow, that's really cool. So.
I know it's mental. It goes so fast. So then you two. So what was the thought behind just setting WGN up? Was it just for an outlet, or is it something you've wanted to do for a long time, or I don't know.
A bit of both, maybe. I'm not. I'm not exactly sure how who came up with the idea first. I know, like, I'd been starting, like, I was going to start my own YouTube channel, doing some stuff, and I think someone in the Facebook group had kind of made a joke, and that got Paul and I talking, and I don't remember who suggested it first. Paul, do you have any recollection of, like, what?
No, I don't remember, but it was about this time last year, and we knew that one of our favourite websites was going to go through a lot of changes, and we were worried it might not be as good as it used to be. And also, I mean, from my point of view, I had a lot of ideas I'd pitched them that they'd rejected, but I'd written them. I'd written them already, and I wanted to get them out there because I thought they were fantastic ideas. Like the first thing I ever put on World Geekly News was how to make a shark movie.
I remember that article.
And that got rejected by another site. And I thought, well, if I ever start my own, that's going to be one of the first ones. So I built this sort of rudimentary framework, sort of blog framework, and just uploaded some of my own ideas. And I didn't make it public at all.
Yeah.
And then I told Kyle, look, I've done this. You know, we could go with this if we want. And the next thing I knew, it had been announced, and suddenly we were live. And I was like, oh, right. Okay, we're going for it then.
Yeah, I remember the framework because you had some really brilliant, like, funny placeholders of just, like, different kind of joke articles that I thought was hysterical.
Oh yeah, like 8th Harry Potter novel on the way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish that had gone.
Oh, I can't remember what they were now.
Sent in Storm, wasn't it? Oh, no, I think that's brilliant. Sorry, my phone's closed, so like I say, I'm not exactly the best at this. But all right, tell me about. I think I sent you this, but tell me about yourselves, if you want to. You can go into as much detail as you want. You know, where you've written before. You said you've submitted articles before, and just what your interests are.
Well, for me, when I first started writing as an adult, it was Den of Geek that took on my first ever paid piece of writing, which I think was a look at 10 public information or safety awareness films.
That was your article?
Yeah, I've done 2 of them now for Den of Geek.
Yeah, no, I remember reading that on that. I didn't know that was yours. All right.
And yeah, I've had things on Den of Geek for on and off now for about 6 years. So, I mean, that's where I got my sort of taste for writing articles. And then when the editor, Simon, started making his own film magazine, he invited me to join him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was entirely based off of an article I wrote for Den of Geek while he was still working there, which was looking at the various movie songs of Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
And I went into a lot of detail. I looked at sort of the stories behind the songs, how they got chosen to be in the film, how he went about writing them, who he worked with, and stuff like that. And so when he started this film magazine called Film Stories, Simon invited me to write the music column for that. So that's been going 8 months now. The 7th issue is about to come out. It's coming out tomorrow. And I've just submitted issue 8's piece day before yesterday, I think.
Nice. It's also a podcast as well, isn't it? I listen to the Film Stories podcast, which is interesting, and it's something that I strive to do, the quality of those podcasts. They're really interesting. For anyone who's listening, subscribe to that, because that is really good.
It's brilliant. I'm not much of a, oddly enough, not much of a podcast guy. I kind of forget to listen to them. Like even ones I really enjoy, like Welcome to Night Vale and stuff. I love it, but I just always forget to listen to it. But yeah, Film Stories is really good. Simon is just a really good reporter, journalist guy for film stuff. I've enjoyed much of his work. I've written for IO9. They don't pay, just like us. I think they probably could afford to pay people, whereas we just we're kind of very small at the moment. So
yeah, it's quite niche though because it's so small, and we get some quality articles on there.
Yeah, I dig that we're kind of small. I like going and talking to indie comic book makers and indie filmmakers and interviewing them and reviewing their pieces. It's kind of fun. Just kind of seeing people being creative because they can, because they feel the need to, not as a job necessarily, and just exploring that. It's kind of fun.
It is good. I'll just look at my next question, and it's who was it who broached the idea of World Geekly News? And you've already covered that, and you said you can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, the framework of the website was up long before we came up with the name, and I think we sent each other a bunch of Facebook messages, didn't we? Just sort of throwing silly, sort of geeky pun names at each other.
Yes, that was exactly what it was.
Yeah, and World Geekly News was actually my wife's idea. We were watching Men in Black, and you know how they always go and get the weekly world news to find out the real news, you know, which aliens have invaded and whatnot. And she said, "What about the Geekly World News?" And I looked it up, and somebody already had that. But I thought nobody's got World Geekly News, and it actually flows off the tongue a little better. So I suggested that, and we both liked it. So.
Well, there is a World Weekly News as well, isn't there? Because every time I try and search for the website, I don't know why I haven't got it in my bookmarks. It always corrects itself to World Weekly News. So, but it's funny that you say that your wife was the one who came up with it. It was my wife who came up with my moniker, Ultimate Movie Geek, and the MAaD Movie Podcast. So they're full of good ideas, aren't they?
Yeah, and I immediately loved that name actually because I love, I never buy it, but I love like World Weekly News, like the trash articles and that sort of journalism is deplorable, but also really enjoyable. Like when you're at the supermarket and going through and you've got like Obama's been contacted by aliens or something like that. Is just I love it so much.
Yeah, we have one like that over in the UK as well. It's called The Sport. It was originally just weekly. It was the Sunday Sport, but then I don't know if it's gone daily. I've never actually bought it myself, but
the Daily Sport, I delivered it when I was a paper boy.
Oh, really? People actually bought it, blimey.
Oh well, one person, shall we say? It's mostly softcore porn, isn't it?
Some of it is, yeah. There's a lot of bare naked ladies in it.
That is vastly different from what we have in the States with that.
You'll have heard of The Sun, yeah, Kyle?
Yeah.
They have page 3. Well, this would be page 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
But the front page will always be like they found a bus on the moon, or ghost children invade Devonshire, or something like that.
It could happen. It could happen. Okay. What do you want from World Geek News, and where do you want it to go? How big do you want it to become?
I've never really thought about it in those terms, honestly. I guess ultimately I would like to be able to at least pay our contributors something. I think that would be my biggest goal.
Well, you're paying me in because I'm able to put links to my pages, so that's enough for me, mate. I enjoy doing the writing as well.
No, that's what I'd like to do as well. I sort of asked around a few months ago if anybody was interested in writing for it. We can't pay at the minute. We're looking at advertising, or we got turned down by Google Ads this time, but apparently that's not rare. So,
okay.
Just keep trying, keep making little changes to the security on the site until they accept us. But I contacted 2 writers I really like. One called John Brell, who's an American novelist, and he's done a couple of film reviews for us now. So that was really nice. He did Bumblebee. Was it Bumblebee? Yeah, it was Bumblebee. He did for us at Christmas, or Aquaman. Yeah, it was Aquaman he did.
Aquaman, yeah.
And I asked another writer, who I won't name because it's not fair, but she said she'd rather get paid for her writing, which I said I totally understand that.
Yeah,
and, when we actually start to get some advertising revenue, I will be knocking on a door again.
Yeah. We've had at least 1 or 2 authors email us, or writers email us, and the moment it's like, I can't really pay you, they're like, well, then I'm not that interested, and it's totally fair. I mean, like, that's the livelihood that you should get paid, and I would, like I said, I'd like to pay the people that write for us, because they do good work, and I think they deserve some compensation. So,
well, it's no secret that I jumped on the WGN bandwagon. Well, I don't know if it was from the get-go, but it was pretty
close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
I just saw it because, like, I used to write for Screen Geek, and there was a guy who would constantly send me news articles, and he'd want something quick, and it was pretty much daily. And I was doing all this stuff. I was like starting to get stressed writing these nothing news articles about movies that are coming out, or comics. I did one about the Captain America comic, the Hail Hydra stuff. It was Hydra Agent and that. And I enjoyed that one, but it was getting on, and I tried to like slip in a link to my channel and that sort of stuff, but it was quickly removed, so I wasn't even allowed to do that. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And then when you said that you were going to do this, I thought, well, I can maybe sneak in a back way. And I'll be honest, I do think I submit way too much sometimes. Like, there's articles coming up, and there's me again, and I'm like, I'll hold back a little bit.
No, don't hold back. I will. The more content, the better. No, you are one of our. I was looking at that recently. You are one of our more prolific writers, which I love.
Prolific.
Yeah.
It's obvious. I'm trying to spread my online presence using WGN. I know it sounds harsh, but and it's good because it's sort of advertising the podcast and that. And I think I asked as soon as it was up that I could call this the official movie podcast of WGN, and you both said yes, which I constantly forget to say at the beginning of every podcast. That's why I try to write down these introductions.
Yeah, you say used, but I see it as it's like a symbiotic relationship, like Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Spider-Man and Venom. We feed off of each other. Actually, maybe Spider-Man and Venom is probably not the best example, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, and I agree. We get some of your articles have generated some of our best traffic, especially your Game of Thrones reviews, and those were good.
Toy Story 4 review is one of the more recent articles that's had a lot of clicks.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, because there was I'm not too sure who it was. There was someone who commented and sort of pretty much disagreed with everything I said. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. I know you weren't a huge fan of it. You didn't hate it, but you didn't love it either.
Well, I didn't. The problem is I didn't not like it, if that makes sense. I enjoyed it. I just felt it was a little bit pointless.
Unnecessary.
Yeah. But then they're not gonna leave a $1 billion making movie franchise to just go into nothing, are they? So they're gonna do something with it, and I suppose they've ended. Have you both seen it? Yeah.
I've seen it.
Not.
Yeah.
I have not.
Then I will stop talking.
Yeah, I went to see it on Sunday. Actually, my brother and we'd been to see Stevie Wonder and Lionel Richie the night before live in London.
I saw your.
That was awesome. But we're at a loose end, me and my wife and my brother, the next day. What we're going to do? Our train's not till 6 to come back up to Manchester, so we decided to go to the cinema. And we went to this really cool little indie cinema in Hackney, in East London, called The Castle. And if you live in London, especially East London, look it up. The Castle, it is just incredible. It's a proper old school cinema with like the red velvet seats and a tiny little screen. And when you come in, it's got like, you remember the still adverts up on the screen rather than TV ads, just sort of slides.
Yes.
And they had this bar where you could buy drinks and take them to your seat, and they'd make food. And they had a proper popcorn machine, an old school popcorn machine, sat on the bar. And we watched Toy Story 4 there. And I'd give the experience a higher score than the actual film itself. Like you, I didn't hate it. I think I'd give it more than you. Did you give it 2? Two stars, was it?
Yeah. I think I was being a bit harsh there, but
yeah, I'd give it maybe 3 or 3.5. I liked it. There were some very funny moments, and there were some brilliant new characters.
Yeah, I think for me though, it was the new characters that did it for me. I felt like the older characters felt old, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean my favourites were the rabbit and the duck that have been sewed to each other.
Bunny.
Yeah,
it was Peele and
Jordan Peele. Yeah,
yeah,
the director of Us and Get Out, isn't it?
Yeah. Their comedy is brilliant.
But when they kept having those dream sequences where they were imagining what they were going to do next, they were just those were the best bits in the film.
Yeah,
they really were.
I agree with that. I can't remember where this tangent went.
We started. We were talking about writing reviews.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What is? I don't think this was a question that I sent over to you earlier on, but what is both of your favorite film? The film that you can go back to and watch and not get bored.
Oh, that's so hard. That's like asking which is my favorite child. I don't know that I haven't. Because there's movies like I love Apocalypse Now. I think it's a brilliant film, and I would think it's one of the best films ever made. But it's not one I can watch a lot. Yeah. And then there's movies like Demon Knight, the Tales from the Crypt movie, that is not by any standards brilliant, but is utterly rewatchable. It has great pacing, wonderful characters, great dialogue. So
it's a lot of fun, that film.
It really is.
It was my first Halloween film last year. It was.
I remember that. Yeah. When you were doing the 31 Nights of Halloween.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I love that film. So Yeah, I agree. It is hard to pick. It's like someone asking me which my favorite Indiana Jones film is, which constantly changes from the trilogy. I don't mean any other Indiana Jones film.
Mm.
Last Crusade that's an easy one in my opinion. Last Crusade is the best.
I'm not. I would probably agree with you, but I think it's because it feels final for me.
He rides off into the sunset in the end.
Yes.
Like yeah.
I think that's what I said in my Toy Story review. I was like, it's kind of on a par with Indiana Jones 4, where they had an end, so they didn't really need to do this. Indiana Jones rode off into the sunset. You can't get any more the end than that, can you?
It's interesting because I love all three of the original Indiana. I think the fourth one's okay. There was stuff that brought it down, but I think the good stuff was better than the bad stuff. Especially the chase through the university was just classic Indy. It could have been in any of the films. But yeah, it's interesting because I'd say Last Crusade is my least favorite of the original three, and depending on how I'm feeling, Raiders or Temple kind of switch places for the best one for me.
Yeah. I don't understand the hate that Temple gets, to be honest.
I think it was just not of its time at all. It was a lot darker than a lot of the other stuff coming out at the time.
Yeah.
For me, Temple's my least favorite. It was my favorite when I was a kid. And now that I'm a bit older, I kind of often put it on par with Crystal Skull for the same reasons. There's these moments that are pure indie action adventure, and then there's stuff like the surviving the plane crash with a rubber boat that it's not that much worse than the nuclear explosion in the fridge. It's a little silly all of a sudden, and Indy had silly moments, but Doom kind of it goes over the top a bit.
I first saw that I saw it. We were on holiday in Bournemouth on the south coast, and my parents took us to the cinema, and they took us to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and we were all, me and my brothers, who are both younger than me. I was 8 or 9 at the time, and my little brothers and I were like, "What's this? Who's Indiana Jones?" And my mum and dad were like, "He's played by Han Solo. You'll like it." And we're like, "Right, it's okay." So it was my first one, Temple, and it got me watching Raiders. Next time it was on TV, we taped it, and that's why second one for me sometimes is my favorite and sometimes drops below because the ridiculous stuff in it is just a bit over the top.
I know.
one of my all-time favorite films, and like Kyle, it's difficult to choose, but I think I have a core maybe 4 or 5 that are always in my top 10.
Yep.
And another one, it's a one we saw the next year. We were back in Bournemouth for a holiday the next year, and we got taken to see Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And seeing that as a kid, I mean, it was terrifying. It was exciting. It was funny. All the innuendos, which to all intents and purposes are single entendres, they just flew over our heads because we didn't get them. We just thought that it was 4 funny guys fighting ghosts who looked like aliens from a sci-fi film, and we just loved it, all of us. But I was checking the dark corners for those dogs about 2 weeks after seeing it.
When I was actually, that movie had a huge impact on me. When I was about 5 or 6 kindergarten, my friends and we loved Ghostbusters, so we borrowed our friend's mom's camera and decided to recreate Ghostbusters the best we could. And we tied like a Slimer toy to the fan to make him like fly around. We covered ourselves with shaving cream. We had little candy cigarettes. It was great. We all of us have like really good memories of like making the film, but I remember my mom saying that once we watched it, because we thought, oh yeah, it's gonna look exactly like the movie, and it was crap. So like we were all really disheartened, but I had a lot of fun making it.
You've made me think of the film Son of Rambo. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it. Yeah, same basic principle.
Yeah, 2 kids go and see First Blood and decide to make their own sequel to it. It's really good fun. But It's interesting when you say about the candy cigarettes, because it must be about 5 or 6 years ago, before I moved away to Manchester, we had a film club in the church hall where I lived. And we decided, instead of showing modern films, we decided to show the films that your parents loved. And we did Raiders, and it was great, although we were a bit shocked at some of the violence, which we found a bit shocking watching it with kids there.
Okay.
The next film we did was Ghostbusters, and all the adults were squirming at like all the sex jokes. And like I
Kids
said,
were just
Right, yeah.
kids just over their head.
Yeah.
But what the kids picked up on and the adults picked up on that none of us had ever noticed before watching it on our own, on our VHS or our DVD players at home, is the amount of smoking that the heroes do. I mean, there's barely a scene in the entire film where the good guys don't have a cigarette hanging out.
That's why we had the candy cigarettes. I mean, at that time we picked up on that as well. But that was the 80s. Like people were just smoking all the time.
Well, it's funny that you should say that, because like tonight, or was it yesterday? My dad still smokes. He's old, so you give him a pass, and he smokes around me, and it was the first time that I've smelt it for such a long time, and I'm like, wow, so many memories have just like been brought up. But you've got to remember, you've got to be able to do the Ray Stantz cigarette hanging out,
hanging off his bottom lip.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting because there's been an outcry on Stranger Things on Netflix because 2 of the main characters smoke so much in it. It's the town mayor played by Carrie Elwes.
Carrie Elwes, yeah.
And David Barber playing Chief Hopper. He's always got a cigarette, and the mayor's always got a cigar, hasn't he?
Yeah, and then Billy, the villain, his character, he's constantly smoking as well.
But yeah, in the 80s,
at the time though, so.
It just was a thing. So it's actually period accurate.
Yeah.
Period accurate and heavy on the pop culture.
Yeah,
I'm still 2 episodes behind on Stranger Things. I need to.
Although it did annoy me. I know this is how much of a music geek I am. But we were watching episode 1. And do you remember the scene where Billy, you see him for the first time, and all the women are fancying him, and they're all lying by the pool trying to look pretty for him?
Yeah.
And then he sort of latches on to, it's Will's mother, isn't it?
Yes.
Karen.
Yeah.
Is it Karen? Yeah, Karen.
Karen. Yeah.
Wheeler, Mrs. Wheeler.
And she decides she's going to give it a go, and she's getting all dolled up, ready to meet him at this motel. And it's playing Cutting Crew. I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
Yeah.
But Stranger Things is set in 1985, and that song didn't come out in the UK until about September 86, and it didn't come out in America until about January, February 87.
Oh,
no. I thought this season was 86.
No, 85. It's 85.
It's 85?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, and couple that with the fact that it wasn't the original version, but it was one that they re-recorded in the 90s, and it was driving me. It was driving me mad. It was doing my head in. I was like, overload. It's all wrong.
I feel an article coming on.
But I still loved it. So
yeah.
But apart from Ghostbusters, I'm in my top 10. You will always find Star Wars. Just because I was born in the 70s, it's the law. The Terminator, which was the first kind of grown-up film that I saw as a kid that didn't scare me half to death, and I actually thought, wow, science fiction can be for adults as well as kids, and probably Aliens, just because it's awesome.
All good choices.
Good choices. Yeah. Jinx. Sorry. That's such a child. You mentioned music. Strangely, I'm going to use that as a carryover. No, a segue. That's the one. So, what's your favourite bands? Anyone?
After you, go for it, Carl.
Oh, okay. So Tom Waits right now is probably Tom Waits and Underworld would probably be my 2 most favorite bands. But then there's so many. I love music in general. I play a lot of instruments. I love just I love music. So there's really it'd be easier to break it down like genre by genre and then tell you like what artist. But yeah, if I had to pick two, probably at the moment, Tom Waits and Underworld.
So Underworld, the dance band, do the
Yeah.
Born Slippy, yeah. I'm thinking about writing about that song for a future issue of Film Stories, actually. Obviously, Trainspotting is the film.
Yeah. And then they did the a remix version of it for T2. That was okay. You know, it was interesting. It fit really well with the movie in that like it kind of took the nostalgia of the song and then played with it to kind of match what was going on in the movie, which I thought was very cool. And pretty much every Danny Boyle movie uses Underworld somewhere.
Yeah, because I was researching this article that I'm going to write. It's every month I choose 5 songs from the movies and just have stories about how they got chosen to be in the film, the songwriting process, and stuff like that. And I always imagined Underworld to be a bit sort of thuggish, because they have a song where they just sing lager, lager, lager over and over for about 30 seconds. But I found them to be really articulate, intelligent guys in the interview, and I thought I've got to write about this because they seem really intelligent and really nice guys. So
yeah, the lager that's so their lyrics are always really esoteric, and they don't really ever tell people what they're actually about. The only time they've ever even published the lyrics was for that song because people were mishearing lager as the N-word.
It's when it changes to mega
and then mega white thing,
Yeah.
mega white thing. Yeah, it kind of so.
I remember that.
They published the lyrics, and it was actually about the lead singer's alcoholism. It was so like the kind of hopping from bar to bar, drinking too much, sleeping around, that kind of thing.
Yeah, what I've discovered is that the song's actually more of a reaction against the kind of thing that it almost seems to glorify, but the exact kind of person that he didn't want to be were the kind of people that really latched onto this song. So it's interesting.
Brilliant.
So yeah, for me, I mean, I love all kinds of music, but there's 2 that have just like been with me my whole life. Well, since I was a teenager, and I think you don't really get to have lifetime music because I think until you're about 13 or 14, your taste in music is rubbish. But In Excess is a band that a friend of mine lent me a tape of, and I just couldn't stop listening to it. It was like nothing else in the charts. Just blew me away. It was like funk, it was like rock, it was like pop, it was like dance music, all fused into one. And it got me some serious ribbing at school because they weren't a cool band to like if you're a kid. I mean, they're a grown-up band that sang about grown-up things, and but they just the music and the lyrics just really spoke to me, and I still love them. And I was gutted when Michael Hutchence died over 20 years ago now.
Is that really over 20 years ago?
Yeah, 22 years ago this autumn.
Because that's bloody hell. I remember. I remember that. It's just weird.
I was not happy. I was thinking of going to see them because I'd never seen them. I was going to see them they did a famous gig in Wembley in 1991, and I was toying with the idea of going, but it would have been my first ever big stadium gig. I was only 16 at the time. And in the end, I decided not to, although some of my friends did. And when I saw the VHS of it that they released a few months later, I absolutely kicked myself silly.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I saw them in 2007 with their new singer, the one that they replaced in like the Pop Idol style competition. And they were okay. The band was still great, and that guy was a brilliant Michael Hutchence impersonator.
But there you go. That's it.
But it wasn't quite the same. But I can still say I've seen them, and I still love them, and I still listen to them all the time. And the other artist, because I said there were 2, the other one, I mentioned them already earlier, is Bryan Adams. Once again, I latched onto him as a teenager because I just loved that song he did in Robin Hood.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, everyone was hating on it, and I don't understand why.
Were they hating on it because it was at the top of the charts?
I know. I don't know if you know this, Carl, but it was number 1 for 16 weeks in the UK, and that's never been beat. It's like the biggest
It
run
was
of
huge. It was huge here. I do not like Bryan Adams actually, but I loved that song. Like I had that song on tape and would listen to it all the time. It's a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and yeah, I'd not heard of him before that. And then when I went back through his back catalogue, I realised I didn't know some of the songs, like Summer of '69, Cuts Like a Knife, Run to You, you know, the big stadium ones. And then I carried on buying his stuff, and I've enjoyed it. I think it's been mixed over the years. There's been some albums better than others, but that album, that Everything I Do came from, Waking Up the Neighbours, is still for me the best one he's ever done.
Yeah, I won't deny that. I just remember nights out in our local club, and they'd always put on Summer of '69 every night. Well, not every night, but every night you'd be out. It'd be like, well,
it's a classic karaoke
Yeah,
or sing-along song, isn't it? It's like Living on a Prayer or Here I Go Again.
Yeah.
You just can't not join in.
I'm gonna take that. You mentioned it, so karaoke songs. What's your favourite karaoke song?
I haven't been on karaoke for a while. The last time I did karaoke, I did Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick by Ian Jury and the Blockheads. And everybody that I was with were just like disowning me.
Yeah.
And I've got to admit, I didn't do it justice. It was pretty bad.
And in the back,
that kind of surprised me because you're actually a I don't know, most of our listeners probably don't know this. Paul's actually a pretty good singer. Because I was toying around with doing a radio production of like a horror story, and I needed some music, and Paul was like, well, I've got something here, and sent me something. No, he's actually quite good.
Oh,
one tries.
Well, if you want to send it to me, I'll stick it on at the end of the podcast.
I hate karaoke more than probably anything else. I was crushed. One of my favorite bars here in town. Like it was kind of a alternative bar. Like they have movie posters from like horror stuff all over the walls. Pretty much everyone's in leather and whatnot. It was just a dingy little bar, and I guess it wasn't doing that well. So they started doing karaoke, and that started getting people coming in. So now they're like karaoke like 3 or 4 nights a week, and so I don't go there anymore.
Riff raff.
I absolutely love karaoke.
Everyone does. Like I am the minority here.
I prefer to play my guitar.
I wish I could play. I'm learning now. We were on holiday and there was a karaoke night, and I was like, well, I've had a few drinks. Kids will enjoy it. They'll have a good laugh. So I went up and did a couple of Frank Sinatra's, and I got the biggest cheer of the night. I was like, yes! My head grew several sizes.
Well, then now you mention it, it was this summer 10 years ago. The company I used to work for used to have these massive staff events where we'd all go away to a hotel for 3 days, and the daytime would all be team building exercises and strategizing and putting out all our plans for the year and stuff and working on stuff like that in a fun way. And then in the evenings, there'd be loads of entertainments laid on for us. And this one night of one of these weekends away, it was 2009, they hired this band, and you can find them on YouTube. They're called the Masqueraders. They're like a wedding band, sort of session band. And they hired them to do a talent show. So they asked people weeks in advance, can you win the talent show from our 2009 team gathering? And a few people applied, and I decided to apply, even though I'm a bit nervous of singing in front of people. Until I get up, once I get up on stage, I'm fine. But it's the anticipation.
Yeah.
And this would have been my biggest crowd by a long way. 'Cause the whole company was there from across the country, 400 people, and I did Echo Beach, Martha and the Muffins, the early 80s, late 70s song, and then they had a vote, and I won, and I couldn't believe it because just the kind of person I am, I don't think I'm very good, but apparently people do.
Well, Carl said you were, so.
And that performance can be found somewhere on YouTube, although it was recorded on a phone from 2009, so it's not amazing.
Wow. We'll have to have a look. Okay. I was going to ask, who in pop culture is your favourite character or characters? I'm just going to throw this out. Indiana Jones for me, just because. Well, I don't know. It's just my favourite character. He was tough. He didn't take crap, and he was an archaeologist, which I then became. So, yeah.
That is unbelievably tough. Picking one, I'm almost with you actually on the indie that.
You don't have to pick one. You can pick more than one.
Oh well, then James Bond is easy. I do love the James Bond movie.
Which one?
Ooh, that's kind of like the Doctor Who question is who's your doctor? The first one, and so like for me, Pierce Brosnan was the first one I saw in theaters.
Yes.
And GoldenEye in my mind is still to this day one of the best ones. And I think him and Daniel Craig suffer from the same kind of problem, that the first movies they were in were utterly brilliant, and then everything after that was just it was all right, or god awful. So I'm gonna say Pierce Brosnan. Yeah.
Oh, my first ever date with a girl was to go and see The Living Daylights, which was obviously Timothy Dalton, so he has a special place for me. But I was born in the 70s, and like with Star Wars, it's the law. You have to have Roger Moore as your favorite. You just have to. You can't not.
I do love it. Live and Let Die is one of my personal favorites of his.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
Live and Let Die is great, but I'll be in the minority here now. Roger Moore is my least favourite, even below Lazenby.
I can get why he would be.
Yeah.
If you're not of the right age, I can understand why he wouldn't be your favourite.
And Bond goes through like different kind of periods. It really reflects whatever time period it was kind of made in. And so the Roger Moore ones are kind of smarmy and cheesy, and the gadgets start getting a little more overblown and stuff. So yeah, like if you compare them to like the very first two or some of the latter ones, it is a weird time period in the James Bond scheme of things.
Yeah, I suppose.
Actually, I survived one of my high school classes. I was about to fail it, and we had to write about do a presentation on something that changed throughout different eras. And I did James Bond. So James Bond actually saved me in class. I did a whole paper and presentation on how each Bond was truly a representative of that time period. And then like 6 months later, the New York Times had an article doing the exact same thing. So I felt in like at 17 or whatever, I felt pretty cool.
Have you still got access to it? Stick it on WGN.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. For me, best character, I've been racking my brains. I'm looking at my bookshelf because I'm in the room that's kind of our guest room / library. I see lots of Terry Pratchett books. Maybe Samuel Vimes from the Terry Pratchett. Maybe Roland Deschain from all the Stephen King books. But I've just seen another book, and it's the Gene Hunt Guide to Policing. And yeah, it's got to be Gene Hunt. It's just got to be. I love Life on Mars. I love Ashes to Ashes. I watch it over and over again, and I spot stuff, new stuff every time. I must have seen the entire run 5 or 6 times now, and I just love it.
One of those shows.
I have not seen it. I know, like I'm aware of how good it's supposed to be, and I saw a bit of the American version.
Oh, that's not good.
No. So like it's one of those things that like I'm meaning to get around to. I just haven't.
Yeah. For anyone who's not seen the American version, I'm going to spoil it for you. Spoiler alert. I'm going to spoil it because it can't be worse than actually watching the show. But at the end of the American one, right, when Sam wakes up, in Life on Mars, he really is. We still don't know whether it's all in his mind or whether he's traveled back in time. But when he wakes up, he's back in the modern day. In the American version, I'm sorry, Kyle, but it was just ridiculous. In the American version, he was playing a virtual reality game whilst he was in hypersleep on his way to Mars. Yes, looking for life. And Gene Hunt was actually his father, and he was Major Tom. Who was like the head of this space mission, and they were going to look for life on Mars, or as they called it, a search for genetic material, or a gene hunt.
Oh my God, that's
yes.
awful.
You know what? They've gone to a lot of trouble to make everything fit.
Yeah, it made me want to. It made me want to eat my own face. It really did.
Brilliant. Okay.
Whereas to me, those 5 seasons of the British version, it's almost the perfect story,
isn't it?
There are clues from day 1 right up to day 40. There were 40 episodes. There are clues, even though they were going to make a third Life on Mars, but it got cancelled, and they decided to make a quick ending to Life on Mars, so it carried on into Ashes to Ashes, and then they were able to carry the clues through. And man, the storytelling's just great. They don't take liberties. They leave clues, but they're not obvious. They don't patronize their audience. If you work it out, which I kind of did, and I was happy to. I wasn't upset that I'd spoiled it for myself. I was just overjoyed that it ended how I wanted it to end.
I just remember, I remember watching the final episode when I was wallpapering our bedroom on the TV, and I just remember Daniel May's character.
Yeah.
His laugh,
Jim Keats.
At the end, it was frightening. It was brilliant.
He is proper scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the last episode of Ashes to Ashes is one of the few things that makes me just weep at a TV show or a film. It's so sad and so joyous at the same time, and it gets me every time. I'm kind of welling up thinking about it now.
Have to have a watch again, a rewatch. All right, We'll finish up because we're quickly coming on to an hour, and it's late. I'm not too sure what time. What time is it there, Kyle?
It's like 4:30.
Yeah, it's 10:30 here.
All right. Oh, so it's nice and early.
Yeah.
Cool. If you could do any job in the world, what would it be?
My real answer is just be rich and retired. If I could do anything, it would be nothing. I would waste away my entire existence just watching movies, playing video games, and screwing around. As that's not going to happen. I don't know.
Say never.
See, I get bored. I used to be a social worker. Now I'm teaching. If I change careers again in the near future, my wife will either kill me or divorce me, whichever. So I don't know. I kind of like teaching at the moment. I'll stick with that. I like teaching. Or astronaut.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously, once again, if you're born in the 70s or 80s, being a spaceman, wanting to be a spaceman when you grow up is also the law. So Star Wars, Roger Moore, spaceman.
Yeah. Going into outer space. I mean, like, what would not be awesome about that? Yeah, and same here. Like, for me, Ray Bradbury was the one that made me always want to go into space.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on the retire thing.
Right.
About 10 years ago, I broke my leg, and I was off work for 5 months. And for the first 3 of those, I was in a cast, and I was hardly moving around. The doctor said, get up once an hour, walk 10 feet, and sit down again, just so you don't get a blood clot and die. Otherwise, it's rest, keep your leg up. So I spent 3 months basically banging on the ceiling with my crutch saying, "Bring me food." Because my wife was working upstairs from home at the time. But otherwise, I was watching DVDs, I was going on the internet, I was playing video games, I was reading books, I was listening to music. It was great. When I went back to work, everyone said, "Oh, how did you cope? 3 months at home on your own." I was like, 3 months at home on my own is like my idea of paradise. I could do anything I wanted. I never got bored. I've got so many DVDs. And by that time, I'd start to get some streaming stuff on my smart TV. Yeah, it was great. So yeah, a life of retirement would be lovely if you could afford it. But if I had to choose a job that I got paid for, I do like writing. I like writing short stories. If I could just write short stories all day and just research things about short stories and then write them, or even try and write a longer story, like a novella or something, I could do that. You'd have to put me in a room where all my things aren't, because otherwise I would then pretend that I was retired and play video games.
Right. No, like writing, I like writing once I'm writing. Like once I'm sitting down and then the words are coming and or I'm editing, that's fun. But like it's the walking across the room and sitting down to write that like I will avoid like the plague. Even though I love writing. And I do it a lot, not just with WGN, but work and school and things like that. I have to do it. And I like it, but yeah, I avoid.
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
I have to hide my stuff.
Yeah, because even the walk across the room to your computer, you're like, oh, there's that magazine that I meant to read a third time.
Right.
Yeah, I should really Hoover.
I've got all my music. I since I've got kids, I've kind of been getting rid of my instruments and doing everything digitally. So it's like, oh, I could write that review that I said I would do, or I could screw around with synthesizers and play some music, and that usually kind of wins out until it's like, oh crap, I've got to get that done.
Playboy lifestyle, that's where it's at, I think.
Yeah.
I think I suffer from the procrastination bug too. I should be doing all these videos that I keep promising to do, and yet I've got loads written, just none filmed or audio recorded. It's really, really difficult sometimes. But then, when you've got a full-time job and full-time life, you've got to fit things in, haven't you? Yeah. No, I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys. I've really enjoyed doing this tonight.
That was fun.
I just good, yeah.
I just wanted something. Something different on the podcast, because I've been listening to other podcasts and seeing like there's different things I could be doing, and trying to get something out every so often. It gets a little bit obviously hard, and procrastination, or if people aren't able to come and help, it's good to do something different. So thank you for coming on tonight.
Yeah, no, it's been good. It's given me a bit of a bug, because I know we've been talking about doing an official World Geekly News one.
Yeah.
Now that I know that we can make a phone call between three of us, maybe we can add 4 or 5 in.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah. A round table.
Do an official WGN. I think the stress would be too much to do it more than once every holiday. So like Halloween, Christmas, Easter, and summer. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that now and again, and maybe get Aaron, who does our board games, or Cameron, who does our video games, in.
Yeah.
Different corners of the WGN website. That's good. Okay. So, are there anywhere that our listeners can find you on Twitter or Facebook or anything?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, just World Geekly News. We have a Twitter. I personally am never on Twitter, so I think that's kind of Paul's realm a bit more.
Yeah, our Twitter, the main thing our Twitter thing does is it basically posts out automatically whenever we publish a new article. But I do post from it now and again. But we've got another of our team, Andy, who does our Facebook presence, and he always comes up with some brilliant memes with a geeky
I think I remember one
to them
the other day, wasn't there?
Yeah, he's done some really good ones. So yeah, that's cool. So thanks to Andy for that. But yeah, World Geekly News at Twitter. And I'm on Twitter as well. Paul E. Childs. It's Paul Y. Childs. It's just because Paul Childs was gone, and I'd rather have a funky name than just be Paul Childs 264. It's better.
I couldn't get my Ultimate Movie Geek because it's too long. So I am a Movie Ultimate or something like that.
And also, when you've got numbers after your name, it makes you look like a Russian bot, and nobody listens to it. So yeah, there's Paulie Childs, World Geekly News, and I have a third Twitter as well called Badgers X, which is my short story head on. So I pretend to be a badger who writes stories with that one.
Well, you might as well put the website out there.
Have you had anything to Badgers Crossing in a while?
I'm currently writing about 3 or 4 stories. I've got about 4 or 5 stories on the go, actually, but one that's really sort of getting headway. I finished one last weekend, but I'm not going to publish it yet because I've actually subbed it to a podcast called The Wicked Library.
Oh, cool.
And they, one of their conditions is that it has to be unpublished to get on The Wicked Library.
All right.
So we'll see if that gets in. If it doesn't get in, I'll put it on my site. If it gets in, I can't put it on my own website for 6 months, because of rights issues and stuff like that. But it'd be cool. It'll be having professional actors acting it. So fingers crossed.
Cool. So what's your website? Sorry.
Sorry.
I was going to ask, what was that? Just a side thing. Was the photograph one? Was that Badgers Crossing, or was that just a side short story?
The photograph story that I did at Christmas, that was the last one I published. That's on Badgers Crossing. The text of it's on Badgers Crossing, but obviously the audio drama that I produced myself was on World Geekly News at Christmas. But if you go to Badgers Crossing and look, badgerscrossing.co.uk, and look for the story called Evanescence, that's my first attempt at an audio drama. I was quite pleased with it. I did it all on a phone, so can't complain too much.
No. Oh well. Brilliant.
But
thank you.
There'll be more coming.
Good. Well, thank you all both for coming to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been brilliant. I'll just end it there. I'll do an outro myself later on or tomorrow.
So you can say whatever you like about us.
No, it would literally just be me getting my words right. But no, it's been good, hasn't it? I've enjoyed this. Yeah, we'll have to do it again later on down the line. And obviously, if you do the WGN podcast, I'm up for that.
Yeah, no, I think just doing like a cool round table kind of thing of like picking a couple things from the news, like for instance, one thing that was recent was the Robert Pattinson being cast as Batman, and what do we all think of that, and just kind of sharing our thoughts about certain things going in Geek would be kind of easy. It wouldn't need a lot of prep.
Yeah.
Or some of the questions you asked, like just talking about like what's our favorites and things that meant something to us growing up, stuff like that. I think it'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. That's cool. Oh well. I've got to take dog out now.
So watch out, because when we were waiting to get the coach,
you doing anything tomorrow? Are you all at work?
I'm on summer break. I am not doing anything. I'm getting another degree right now, so I'm taking classes. I'm doing some linguistic stuff, which is god awful, but also really interesting. It's a weird like sadomasochistic thing going here.
Yeah. I booked a last minute day off. I'm considering going to see Midsummer. Kirsty
I want to see that so bad.
Yeah, Kirsty doesn't like horror films, and she hates The Wicker Man, which I know it's been compared with. So
yeah, the trailers made it look like that, didn't it?
I'll go and see it on my own, I think.
I think that I'm gonna have to do the same. My wife does not like horror at all either. So yeah, I kind of have to. Which I kind of prefer. I don't really like watching horror with other people. I think it's scarier and more interesting if you're just kind of in a room by yourself in the dark. I think. That's...
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I'm at the cinema watching a scary film, I know I'll jump every time. Every time. and then I'll make everyone else jump. I think I made a whole row jump once because I jumped at something that was ridiculously stupid. I think it was a Conjuring thing.
Do you know what?
That was good.
The worst ever, or best ever, depends on how you feel about it. The biggest ever, that's probably the best way. The biggest ever jump scare I've ever seen in a film in the cinema was, have you all seen Deep Blue Sea?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know the bit.
When Samuel Jackson...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before or since, I have never seen an entire theatre full of people jump to their feet and scream. The entire room, and it was a big cinema as well, like 200 or 300, 400 people all jump up, go, ah, and then all sit down, kind of nervous laughter. the closest I can compare it to is, have you both seen Hudson Hawk?
Oh, a long time ago.
Years. That was a good one.
Well, you know the bit with the tennis ball at the end?
I honestly don't remember it anymore. No.
Where, all the way through the film, the bad guys have got this dog, and they're always throwing the tennis ball at it, and it always fetches the ball and brings it back. And then at the end, Bruce Willis has beaten all the bad guys, including the butler with the knives where his hands should be, and all the CIA agents and the two world domination people. And all that's left is this French poodle. And he's like, oh, no, how am I going to get out of it? And he stood by the bad guy's tennis ball launching machine. And he presses the button, and the dog sees a tennis ball and jumps up and catches the ball in its mouth, but it's like catapulted out of the window of this castle.
I don't remember that. No,
yeah, the dog.
I haven't seen it.
Dog goes out the window, and the castle is on the edge of a cliff. So the dog goes out the window and like falls 300 feet to its death. And it was a similar reaction to that, but it was an entire theatre full of people who leapt to their feet and laughed and applauded.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, that was good. Sorry.
No, the voice ain't terrible. I'm still going to stick this in, don't worry.
Sidetrack. Spoiler warning, Hudson Hawk.
Yeah. Big thank you to Paul Charles and KJ McDougall for agreeing to Skype call me and let me record their voices for the podcast. So that was the podcast, the World Geekly News podcast, or maybe a front runner of it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That's it. I'm still in the garden. I'm having a Coke. Or a Coke Zero anyway. Listening to the bees in the trees and the birds in the sky. And yeah, I'm quite relaxed for once, which is quite nice. So I'll finish off by stating how you can get in touch with the podcast, and that's through madmoviepod@gmail.com. You can send it as an email, let us know how we can improve the podcast, which I always like to hear. I always try and apply everything that is told to us. If there's any movies you want us to review or talk about on future episodes, because me and Craig will get back together and start doing more podcasts. You can also get in contact through the Twitter feed, MAaD Movie Pod, at MAaD Movie Pod, that is. Sorry. And also for me, it's at Movie Ultimate. There's also my Facebook page at Ultimate Movie Geek on Facebook and Instagram. And we've also got an Instagram for MAaD Movie Pod as well, which we post to. Not as much as we should, really. We should maybe increase that. But yeah, get in touch, let us know what you like, what you dislike, stuff like that. Also, I have a YouTube channel which I'm going to start uploading weekly videos soon. I'm just trying to get my cache of videos up to a point where I can do that weekly. So yeah, subscribe and look at the videos. And again, it's all trial and error. See what you like, see what you dislike, and let us know in the comments or on Twitter and whatnot. Yeah, hopefully we'll be doing a Disney podcast this week. That'll be with another guest who has more knowledge of Disney than me. Although, saying that, I have done several reviews on my YouTube channel about the Disney remakes, and I think I'm going to be doing another one for The Lion King. And if it's anything like the others, it's going to be another stinker from what I'm hearing from reviews. It's just the live action Disney films, for me, even though I really liked Aladdin and I thought Will Smith did it quite well, I just find them a little bit pointless, and I'm not too sure why didn't he? I know why they're doing it, because of money. Obviously, it's the story's already there. All you got to do is get the actors together and film it. But it, there are new ideas out there. They just have to go and find them. Oh, I don't know. Let us know what you think. Get in touch at Movie Ultimate, and yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next week. Hopefully. Bye.
Is in the best-selling show. It's a lie.